Hello everyone, welcome to our investment series. Today we are very happy to have Samsung's Christy coming to introduce to us some investment ideas on REITs and REITs ETF. Nice to meet you, Christy.
Hello, Elton.
Yep. And I understand that there is an investment vehicle called REIT, and there's also REIT ETF. Can you let us know what is REIT and what is the difference between it and the REIT ETF?
Okay, maybe I start with what it REITs first. REITs actually is the trust investing in different real estate projects, and then collecting the rents is actually the major income of REITs. And then for REITs, actually there are different type of REITs. For example, the one we familiar with should be retail REITs, but then apart from that one, also there is individual industrial REITs, office REITs, etc. According to SFC, as long as the REITs does not make any loss, actually REITs need to distribute their 90% of their net income as dividends to the investors. Therefore, many investors think that REIT actually is a asset class that can collect stable income for them as well. And then for REIT ETF, actually is the vehicle that's investing into different REITs. For REIT ETF is the collection of different REITs.
I see. So REIT ETF is an investment into different REITs.
Yes.
Okay, I got it. And I understand that Samsung got a counter called 31X7, which is a REIT ETF. Is it a passive investment, and what kind of index it is following?
For 31X7 is a REIT ETF that is passively managed, and then it's follow index which is contributed by S&P, and then we follow the S&P index in order to do in our investment.
I see. It's follow the S&P's constructed ETF index, REIT ETF index.
Yes.
Okay, got it. And when it comes to the passive index, passive investment, certainly, Samsung will follow the index methodology by S&P. Can you let us know more about the index methodology behind, what kind of REIT it will buy? Is there any limitation in the number of REITs? And is there any ceiling or maximum investment amount for each REIT in the ETF?
For this index, it's checked the 30 REITs listed in developed markets across APAC, excluding New Zealand. For the region, we look at Japan, and then Korea, Hong Kong, Australia, and also Singapore, etc. And then we invest in 30 REITs which have the highest dividend yield across 12 months before. And that's why this is the index really finding some high dividend REITs for the investors. And then for the location and also, the capacity, for each time we have our index rebalancing, we'll cap the REITs, the highest percentage of each REIT at 10%, and then for each country, we will cap the REITs at 30%.
Oh, I see. Let me repeat for the audience as well. So in the index methodology, 31X7 invests in Asia Pacific REIT, excluding New Zealand.
Yes.
And then there are 30 REITs inside the ETF. Each constituent is capped at 10%, and then each region or each country is capped at 30% as well.
Yes.
Oh, very clear, thank you. And now is October 2022, and in the past 6 months to 9 months, the US dollar is very strong against all the other currencies. Actually, how does the strong dollar affect the ETF price of counter 31X7?
I think for this year, because 31X7 do not do any currency hedge, and the NAV actually is calculated as US dollar. Therefore, this year, because yen and then Australian dollar and also won actually is weakening year to date, that's why it is also bringing some effects on the performance on 31X7. But in the other way around, if the currency becomes strong in the coming time, actually it will bring positive effect to 31X7. Therefore, I think for this moment, I think the investor have to be bear in mind is they need to take in mind that there is currency risk for 31X7.
I see. And while the US dollar is getting stronger, the long-term debt, the long-term bond interest is also rising in the past 6 to 9 months. How does the rising interest rate or bond yield affects the Asia Pacific REIT?
I think at this moment, because the rising interest rate actually makes some REITs actually drop a bit because the yield actually is quite attractive for those risk-free assets. But I think at this moment we also compare different data. For US 10 years government bond, the yield is around 4%. And then for APAC REITs, for example, for our ETF, the dividend yield is around 5.89. There is still some difference between the yield between those risk-free assets and REITs. And then we also compare those APAC REITs and US REITs. Actually, APAC REITs normally or like generally have higher yield than US REITs. And then across different asset class, REITs actually generally has a higher yield compared with stocks and also some long-term bond as well. In conclusion, at this moment, APAC REITs still have a higher yield compared with different asset class across the region.
I see. And for many, I think for many REIT investors, when they invest in REIT, they are looking for the dividend return. And how does the dividend payout policy is for 3187? And will it how to say, will it bring out
payout from capital?
Yeah, will it bring out the dividend from the capital?
Okay. For 3187, we aim to do quarterly dividend payout. The payout timetable usually is in March, June, September, and also December. Although it is subject to our manager's discretion, but past the history, actually we still pay dividend quarterly. And then for what you mean by payout from capital, actually the rolling 1 year dividend yield as of end of September is 5.89%. And then we usually, from past experience, we paid out what we collect, not really pay out from capital at this moment.
I see. And by the way, besides counter 3187, does this REIT ETF has a US counter listed in the Hong Kong Stock Exchange as well?
Yes, we also have. But at this moment, 3187 is for Hong Kong dollar counter, and then for USD dollar counter is 9187. So I think investor can invest based on what currency they have in order to choose the correct stock for investment.
Oh, that's very clear. And by the way, we also let investor know now is October 2022 for REIT ETF 3187. The price now per share is around $16 to $17, and one lot is 200 shares. So the minimum investment amount is 3,200 to 3,400 Hong Kong dollar. Make the disclaimer again, all kinds of investment, whether it is stocks, futures, REIT or property, all kind of investment have investment risk. So investor, please beware for all your investment decision. And finally, thanks for Christy's sharing today.
Thank you.
Thank you.